Welcome back to Metal of Honor. Of course, it's been quite a while since the last video. A whole load of stuff's happened. It's just been busy. Me and the whole family got super ill for 2 or 3 weeks as well. Just like bad flu, COVID type thing. Don't really know, but all better now. This is the third part of the sand casting pendant. So this video, you see for like thumbnails and all that stuff. It's for the stone setting, for like doing the flush setting. Basically, when I've done it, I just recorded the whole thing, hoping that everything was going to be in focus and that the quality was going to be good, because I'd changed like the setup for quite a while. So and I've been sort of like umming and ahhing about it for quite a while, about sort of doing the commentary for it. Not sure if I want to go ahead and do the video for how it is, for if it's going to be good, but I've decided just to do it anyway. Some of the stones will already be set, because we're doing those ones. Bits of the hand were getting in the way of the microscope focus, all sorts of things like that. It's really hard to get in focus without having a sort of a microscope that costs about £4 with like the built-in microscope that's like a decent like Leica sort of brand. It's really tough. So I've done the best that I can with this, but it does show a lot of good setting, and I can explain exactly what I've done. Yeah, but we're just going to jump in. But yeah, thanks for coming back and tuning back in. So a lot of my setting tools for like the little pushing, for like the little sort of like stilettos, for doing the pin sort of like a sort of blunt pin, for like doing like the like running the bearing around, which I'll show you later. But a lot of it starts off with an old blunt ball burr, things that can't be resharpened, things that are dead in the water. So basically, like parallel pliers or whatever pliers you want, snap off the top of the ball burr. You can do it higher up if you want a narrower sort of stiletto for like the pushing down of the side of the metal, or you can do it really wide. But yeah, you just snap it off. Like you can see here, just like a little diamond disc. If you haven't got a diamond disc, just a diamond plate or stone, you can do it on that. It just might take a little bit longer. But yeah, just getting a nice flat end, and you'll see me now hold this at like just like 45, yeah, roughly a 45-degree angle, spinning it and just skimming off like a little chamfer on the edge, so it hasn't got like a sharp, so it hasn't got like a super sharp sort of corner edge bit there. You want it slightly rounded off, just for like when you're pushing down on like the edge of the stone, which you'll see very shortly. But for when the stones are in, it's got all pushed down, you've got all that little sort of scabby looking bit that don't really look nice. And you see me like pin it with like a blunt sort of pin. That's made out of the same things. But when I do those ones, I put the actual drill bit or ball burr into the handpiece and actually do that and curve it, and then gradually do it on sandpaper, so it creates like a little dome. And you can do those at all different thicknesses and stuff. I think I've made one on a previous video, but next time I need to make one of those, I'll make sure I record it, so you can see how I've done that. I'm sure I've done one on that video before. But and don't forget, in this video as well, even at the very end, where you see me just Scotch Brite in the actual pendant after all the stones are in, all that sort of stuff. Just remember, when it's zoomed in, for how this pendant is, it's probably about 14mm by about 25mm, just roughly. So any piece of jewellery, you zoom in to get like anything that sort of size on the screen, it's gonna look quite bad. Like certain aspects of it will look bad, but the same as like for any of you that are making jewellery, and even just with like your optivisor sort of lens things, you see like real, some bits that look a little bit questionable, but like as soon as you take your things off and you look at it and you think, actually that's spot on, it looks good. But it's and a lot of it on the way just looks like dog stewed it, but it is just all part of the process. For these, when you can see like these are the little wooden handles for like these graining tools, like if you're doing pave setting and doing the graining. but these little tools are quite good. They don't need to be tight in there. It's just a case of just being able to push down and know that it's not in a rubbish bit of wood handle that's pushed too hard and it's going to go straight through and stab your hand. The same with holding most jewellery. I use like the Firmallock. I think this is like the GRS Firmallock. You would have seen me use this so many times already in the videos just over this last year that I've been doing the channel. It's the stuff that if it's a brand new strip, you can just put it in the microwave 30 seconds at a time, get it soft. But of course, after you've used it a couple of times, there will always be bits of metal embedded. So you don't want to put it in the microwave after that. You will get sparks. So after that, just in like a little plastic sieve in the ultrasonic, and even at about like sort of 60 degrees, like what I normally have my sonic at, the ultrasonic will like make all of that really soft pretty damn quick. And then some people will put it in cold water after to harden it up quicker. But yeah, when I've got it in a clamp like this, I'll just set it aside for 10 minutes and that'll be it, job done. It's all ready for action, you know. So prior to this, I've actually got all my stones all sitting in a line for the order that I want to set them. Basically, you can see I'm just using one sort of ball burr, just on the side, just spin it quite fast as well. If you do it too slow, it's just going to go, and it's going to sort of drag across your work and put in all these little jagged marks, which I get now and again as well. But the faster you spin it, the less likely you are to get any sort of little accidents like that. So basically, I would actually drill this all out so that it does my smaller stones, because they're various sizes in this. So I'll drill it out so I know which ones are my sort of smallest or which one's my largest. Start whatever end of the scale that you want to. There's no sort of right or wrong. But if you measured up the smallest one, say it's like 2.5 mil, and you know you're not going to want to drill, because I cut a bearing sort of like groove underneath the surface, the side surface, so that I can knock the stones under. So a 2.5 mil stone, I would drill out a hole for about 2.4. And then once you do that, then you can sort of up it to the next. If you've got 3 stones that are the next size up, then choose your 3 holes at that. Then just gradually build it up. Sometimes you might not, like this one I'm doing now, there's not an exact burr size for the stone. So I'll drill it out to what I want and then just lift it up a little bit and just skim around the top part, how you just see me do. Then when I'm cutting the bearing, just a normal bearing cutter. I think there's different names for them, but I can't remember what other countries may call them. Yeah, I'm sure I've heard of another name somewhere. Put in the comments if you can remind me if it's called something different. But generally, yeah, I call these up bearing cutters. So you cut that little bearing. So say this one was like a 3 mil stone. This would have been, say, like a 2.8, 2.9 mil hole. You see, when you set the stone in, it's not quite getting in there. So with the graining tool, like you see here, like I sort of try and balance it out a little bit flatter. But with the graining tools that you use for like pave, like if you looked at the end, it's got the little dimple inside. So it's almost like a little cup. So putting that in, there you go, like a can of drink. If that's like your table for the stone, putting it on the edge of the table, that's when you can put it on and just knock it with a file handle, a ruler, whatever you got. So that, yeah, so that's that bit. So then so once you've actually knocked it under, the stone is actually very, very secure anyway. You could almost just leave it as that if, well, you could leave it at that if you were lazy. But yeah, so with the little tool that you just see me make, you can do these at all different thicknesses, like I said. Depending on the stone, if it's sitting nicely, you could just go round from one side, go all the way round, pushing down all around that sort of circumference of that stone. If they're a little bit funny, do opposites, the same as if you're doing like a normal rub over setting. Sometimes that's just the safest route to go, just opposites. The same as if you was doing up the old lug nuts on the car. start opposites, so everything's nice and even and sort of sits flat. And the idea, like when you're doing the bearing cutter, to get the stone sitting underneath, for the level that you choose for the bearing cutter, where they're like this sort of size, you've got that, then it goes up to the shaft. You want to treat that little line there, so that's where the table of your stone's going to go. So if that's level with the metal that you're drilling into, push it down a little bit further, because at the end, after they've all been pinned and sanded over, buffed, and you've got your finish that you want, you can go over with a sandpaper, knowing that you can get to all of it, making them all look nice and circular. So like I said at the beginning, anything that's zoomed in this far is going to look awful. That's just how it is. So these little borders, like this, the actual stiletto that I've pushed down those edges, they were only about 1.2 mil, 1.3 mil wide. So that's not a big area there. So this is like the blunt pin as well that you've just already seen me starting. And this is a case of just going around. You're not going to damage the stone. If things look a little bit scruffy, you can always go around with the flat scalpel like this, doing a little bright cut. It's not always essential. You could just pin it, and by the time you see like the process that's later on, and it's all buffed and stuff, by the time you're actually holding the piece in your hand, even if you're looking up close, it's going to look clean. It's going to look. You just got to trust the process. Sorry, I just got to get my words out here. I'm so out of practice of talking on camera where it's been so long. But anything past that pinning mark that you can see that looks a little bit rough, a lot of that will get buffed and sanded, and that'll make it look neat. But doing these sort of what I've always called gypsy setting, I know a lot of people call it flush setting or invisible setting as well. Depends who you're talking to. Same as everything, everyone's got different names. But this is the one I see people have the most trouble with setting, and quite often they're either not put the stone in shallow enough and they can't sand around it to clean it after, because they've just not put the stones deep enough. They've left it too shallow, or they've put the stones in like this and not always done it so you don't have to do it so like it clips under, so you've got that sort of like little bearing that I do. If you drill the hole the exact size so the stone just drops in tight, you can still do it like this, as long as you do like the pusher stiletto thing and push it down from all sides. You will always get metal over the edge of the stones. What I see a lot of people doing, especially on these Facebook, I would actually do a rant video and try and film my screen on Facebook and show you some of the stuff that was the main cause and reason that I've done this channel, because it was like like leading the blind, you know. But so many people just put the stones in and just pin it and wonder why their stone's fallen out after they polished it. Then there's so many. You could go on one of the Facebook jewellery groups and type in flush setting and see how many, and most of the posts that will pop up will be problems where people will, most of it will be like, why has my stone come out? And yeah, I'm going to stop there, because that can just be a rant video at some stage. I just find it frustrating. But yeah, but however you do it, push the metal down. Don't just pin it. It's just not right. Your customer's going to come back, and especially if you've done like quite a few. If it's a piece like this, it's got quite a few stones. As soon as one comes out and you reset another one, when your customers come back in 3 weeks, 4, that's even if you've actually managed to get the stones to stay in for a while, and your customer's collected, and the job comes back in 4 weeks, so you've got an email. Not that it's something that I get. I know people that do, saying, "Oh, my stones come out," blah blah blah. As soon as that person brings the bit of jewellery in, you put that stone in, and then as soon as you polish, the other stones, the polish is going to affect all of it, and you're going to be married to that piece of jewellery, whether it's a ring or a pendant like this. You will be married to that yourself forever, and it will always come back. It will keep coming back to you for as long as they trust you and think something's not right, or until they realise that you're not very good. Then that's when they'll take it to another jeweller, and it'll be that jeweller that will there'll be, if you're lucky enough to go to someone that knows what they're doing, and it'll be them that sort of says to that your customer, "Oh no, your jeweller's done that terrible. That's not even right. They shouldn't come out like that." And you won't even hear their complaints. That they just won't come back to you ever again. Then you've chances are you've lost a return customer, you've lost money, and maybe even get a bad review. That's even if you hear anything. Chances are, if you're lucky, they won't leave a bad review, but you'll just never hear from them again. Yeah, and you've lost future money. But sadly, that's how a lot of these stones get set, I'm afraid. But yeah, and you've seen me like sort of do like a few of these now, and it's the same again. It's just like you've got your hole, your bearing cutter, all that sort of stuff. It doesn't really matter what size stone. Like if there was I've used the same sort of heel pusher for every single one of these stones, and these range from about 2 mil or 1.8 mil, 1.9 mil up to about, I think it was about 2.9 or 3 mil for like the biggest one that's in here. And I've used the same size stiletto. If you was doing like a bigger stone, like a 4 mil, you'd up your size a little bit, and that tool you'd make the same way, but you just grind it in a little bit further, because the shafts on these most of these drill bits are about 2.3 something. It's got another number there as well. There is another number, but about 2.3 mil. So the further up you go on that shaft upwards, the wider it gets. So yeah, and everyone's got loads of old drill bits or loads of old ball burrs sitting about. But yeah, but like after you've done a few of these, they are quite a simple sort of setting to achieve. But for me, it always seems like this is the one that most beginners like to do, as well as rub over setting. Like I've done loads of videos on that about a year ago, like the garnets, sort of showing like hand setting versus my sort of pneumatic sort of hammer hand piece, all that sort of thing. But even on these, you can put these bits in your other sort of GRS graver tools and actually like pound it down, like with like the air driven tools. But all of this one, I've just kept it by hand, as in just trying to replicate what someone else might do at home that hasn't got all those. Sorry, excuse me. That hasn't got all those tools. So it's just quite tricky. At some stage, I would like to get the full-on microscope where I can just plug the HDMI into the computer, record from straight down in the camera. My microscope is actually a trinocular microscope, but it has got so it has got the thing with the HDMI, but it's a cheap sort of Chinese rip-off. I'm sure it comes from China, and it was actually posted from China on eBay. But it's the microscope bit's fine. You haven't got much depth of field, so you can't get like a saw blade under there for cutting fine stuff. But yeah, but being that they're sort of like £4,000 or more for a decent one, I think I'm going to long-term plan so that in the new year, I know it's only June already, we're only halfway through the year almost, but I'm going to sort of like put out like a monthly plan so I can work out for the new year. I'm actually going to do like a members section where I do a lot of the more detailed stone setting and some of like the real tricky stuff into those videos for like a paid sort of monthly membership. I don't know what price that will be yet, but hopefully that will bearing in mind that YouTube actually takes half of that, and it's not 40% of that they take anyway. So even when people do donations on videos, YouTube take 40% of that before you even get taxed on your bit. But yeah, hopefully in the new year, a member section will help sort of build up a fund towards a microscope that can let me show more just in better detail, maybe from multiple angles as well. Yeah, so but do give these a go and that. Of course, even though this is silver, I'm using diamonds in this as well. So these aren't the greatest quality diamonds here. Some of them are nicer than others, but these are real like just mismatch of bits that I've just put together just for the video. I will actually end up cutting all these stones out and using them for something else and reusing the silver, because this was literally just for this video. The harder thing to do when you're doing this sort of setting is anything that's not a diamond. So even if you're doing a sapphire, by the time you've got all them in and you start doing your papering over the top, you've got to think a lot of the emery papers that you use, not a sandpaper, because that's more for like woodworkers and stuff. But when you're actually using like the emery cloth and emery sandpaper, a lot of the grit is kind of like a silica, which is basically ruby and sapphires sort of what they use for like making like watch glasses, that's made with like sapphire glass, you might hear it being called, or silicon glass. The same as in a checkout sort of at the till area in a supermarket, when they sort of slam the tins against the glass bit above the scanner, all that sapphire glass, because it's so tough. So when you actually got, if we've done this with like rubies or sapphires, say like the next most expensive stone, and the next hardest sort of stone, if you don't put them down a little bit lower than what you would with the diamond, as soon as you start sanding, you've messed up. You've sanded off the tops of all your sapphires. So if you're beginning and just starting this out and stuff, whether you're trying to make money from it or you just want a nice design, maybe use like lower grade diamonds, possibly, just to keep the cost down for certain customers, because it's like you've got customers that expect like champagne for beer money. It's it's crazy what people expect of you. But putting sapphires in something like this, it's going to cost you more in the long run. So even if you have to use less diamonds and just make it like the odd little feature, if you can do it with diamonds for even practicing, because you can get the stones out, cut them out with the flat scalper, you can reuse them for the practicing bit. But doing it like that for your customers' jobs, compared to a sapphire, if you can just talk your customer into spending £10 more or $10 more for like each stone to have a diamond instead of a sapphire, if they're the small stones like this, it makes your life easier as well. And like I've said so many times, we all want an easy life. It's none of us want dramas at all. You might notice me as well earlier, I forgot to mention, sometimes when you're opening up the holes to like certain sizes, you see one of those I actually drilled a bit further because I wanted to put the bigger stone in the middle. When you see me drill that out, I actually created like a little ridge on the top surface, and that can be like a real bad optical illusion when you get like a burr that's sitting above, instead of having like that side going down into that hole, and you have like a little lip that's upwards. When it comes to using your bearing cutter, pushing down and skimming, that can really throw your eyes. That's why you see me use this same flat scalper here, but just trimming off the top. So just taking that away just gives you that nice clean edge. So straight away, even zoomed out this far, if you've tried this sort of setting before, you'll see how neat this already kind of looks, you know. It's even by the time I finish this, you'll see that a couple of bits you'll think, oh, he's left that a little bit jagged. But when you zoomed right out, it's absolutely fine, and you can't see that. So when sanding, and again, when I've sanded this, it all looks great. I could have gone through all the papers, polished it, and it looked good. But for the video, you'd get too much reflection on everything else. That's why for the video, after I've done this buffing part, you've seen me use like the Scotch-Brite, like the back of like a washing up sponge, like if you're cleaning your dishes and stuff. Just like sort of going over sort of circular motions, just to put that texture in, just because it makes it a lot better to look at on the camera for when you're watching this and how it's going. And again, just already, when you just feel that, you just know those stones are in there. None of these are coming out unless I want to cut them out. So I know that if this was an actual piece that I was selling to a customer, even if it was on a ring, they could wear that ring for 10 years. They could go rock climbing in it, wearing the same thing, or at the gym. Chances are those, unless it's really super worn down, those stones aren't coming out. And again, do this from all different angles. You could even use like the end of the buff stick if you need to get into just sort of specific parts. But this is really cleaning it up, and this is the reason as well, like the bearing cutter bit that I said, that I explained earlier. When you sort of got that ridge where it attaches to the shaft, you've got to have that a little bit lower from that point, lower than the surface, or this buffing over the top makes it so awkward. But yeah, like I say, I skipped out the first few stones when I'd actually put them in, because it just wasn't clear enough. It just didn't look as good. It was just a bit overexposed, and in the light, sort of the light above the bench just causing too many reflections. So I just chose like the ones that I thought came out the best and the sharpest. But yeah, like I say, it's at this point when I sort of hold it up shortly, you see a couple of little, almost like little teeth marks where it doesn't quite look round, but absolutely promise you, as soon as you zoom it right out, or you're actually holding it in real life, you're not going to notice that at all. It's going to look like the cleanest stone setting that you've ever done. And if you want it, like don't get me wrong, you could go further and you could keep buffing it down further. But I've done this just to prove a point of how simple and how easy like this sort of stone setting could be. You could just have like, because the other thing as well, like on a flat surface, it's super easy. So these middle ones are a lot easier. As soon as I get to the edge where there's a curve, that throws out for when you're pushing down on the edges to secure the stone. Because some bits you're going to be pushing down further than others because it's on that curve. Some bits will always look more drilled, seated lower than others. Okay. I will be doing more videos like this, even for like my signet ring that I wear. I did actually video that ages ago. No, I don't think that come out too bad either. So I might actually put that into a video just to explain that again. That would be a very short 10-minute video even. But yeah, so you can see here, maybe sort of that one in the middle right, slightly up a little bit. That one looks a little bit, that's the one that looks a little bit more jagged, which you could go in and buff a little bit more. But even on your screen now, even if you're watching this on a smartphone, it's still zoomed in quite a bit. But yeah, I really hope you found this video helpful. Thanks for all coming back. I'm sure it's been about 5 or 6 weeks since I've done a video. But yeah, thanks for coming back. Please like, subscribe. Any comments in the comment section? Couldn't think what it was called then. It's been so long. I try and reply to all comments, even if sometimes it might be a couple of weeks later, especially if it's been a while since our last video, where I've sort of been distracted doing other work. Yeah, that's it. Please ask any questions. See you in the next video. There is another video already lined up, so you shouldn't have to wait so long next time. But yeah, appreciate you watching. Take care and see you again. Thank you.